So you don't have to be a writer to use journal therapy for a start. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, please read to me your piece of work so I can assess whether it's a good piece of writing. So people get nervous about, am I going to have to read you my writing? And the answer is no. You are very welcome to share whatever you write. I'd love to hear. But you can also just share the insights that you had from working through the process. And so a really great exercise that I love to do with people in journal therapy is called dialoguing. And that in a journal would look like a script where you are talking as you, and then you are talking either to someone else or a part of yourself. So really you're entering into a conversation. Say somebody comes in and they have depression. I might ask them to dialogue with their depression. And so what they're doing is opening themselves up to be curious about why the depression is in their lives. So they might be asking questions to their depression and waiting to see what its purpose is in their life. And it's quite surprising how how answers will come to them that they didn't think were there. Because quite often people will see their depression as this big bad enemy rather than a messenger that is here to tell them something. Kind of like if we have a pain in our body, we know that something is wrong that we need to fix, and that pain is the messenger. And it's the same with our mental health. If we have anxiety or depression or anything else, it's there as a messenger to tell us that something isn't wrong and we need to look at it. So we have to get curious. So the exercise of dialoguing using pen and paper, which I always prefer people to do rather than the phone or a computer, it gets them into that place of connection with themselves and connection with that part of themselves that they're trying to run away from and disown. Another great thing I like people to do is dialogue with their inner child. So with attachment work often comes inner child work because that's where the wounding often was. And so quite often they will have abandoned that part of themselves that was very wounded in childhood, and they will have attached some kind of shame around who they were as a child because that didn't feel good. And so if I have them enter into a dialogue with that child, then they are developing some kind of compassion for that part of themselves. Well, journal therapy is a tool, like art therapy is a tool. So it's a way of doing therapy that goes beyond talk therapy, right? It's very easy to sit and talk about the problems with your life and then go away and not do anything about it. So journal therapy is a way to get people to think and to process in a way that they wouldn't normally do, right? So much of what we do in life, it goes on in our heads. It's cognitive, right? So when we're doing journal therapy, we're actually, yes, we're in our heads, but we're in our creative process as well, and we're connecting with a different part of ourselves, just like when we do art therapy. So it's a different way of expressing yourself. You then have something on paper that you can go back to and read. And also there's a lot of science behind the idea of when you express something on paper or through art, you're actually getting it out. Which when you're just processing it in your head, you're not necessarily doing that. And when you're just talking about it, you're not doing that. So it's a way of expressing yourself on the page and understanding yourself through the page, and then kind of detaching from some negative experiences and thoughts.